Mino Lion Media presents Business First.
Hi, all, and welcome to a new episode of Business First with Sonia Aline. I am your host, and today we're going to jump right in and talk to our guest, who today is Dariaus Enlow, who is the CEO and owner of NATHANIEL Custom Clothiers. Welcome. How are you, Dariaus?
I'm fine. Thank you,
Yeah,
Sonia.
thank you
I
for
appreciate
being here. So, you own a company that specializes in custom clothing.
it.
When I was at Black Enterprise, we had featured a lot of people who were in the fashion industry. We hadn't met a lot of Black folks who were in the custom design business. Um,
hmm
we'd met people who were tailors, a lot of people who were tailors. We know that just
hmm
in our community in general, we're familiar with people who knew how to sew and knew how to put looks together. But what was your influence for going into this business?
Well, again, Sonia, thank you for giving me the platform to speak on this topic. Fashion has always been a passion of mine, and the main influence really was my mother. My mother was just, and still is to this day, just a fashionista, just a dignified, sophisticated, beautiful woman that was always serious about her clothes when she stepped out into the public space, as was her mother as well. Um, they tell me my grandmother, Miss Fanny, was quite the dresser, and so that's where she got it from. Growing up, my dad, my parents, strong influence in the church. So Sundays, Wednesdays. I mean, I don't care. Whenever you stepped into the church house as a kid, you were suited and booted.
Mhm.
So that was always something that I look forward to, even from my earliest years of memory, is just dressing to the nines. And so that's where my love for fashion and clothing and just just making yourself, there's nothing like putting on a garment and just transforming your psyche, transforming your spirit, your emotion, how you feel, how you see yourself as an individual. And that's kind of where I gain and feed my passion, is the response that I get, the joy that I get from seeing people who feel good about themselves when they put our garments on.
Wow.
uh, our one of our mottos here is um, be confident, be noticed, be Nathaniel Bespoke. And that's really it in a nutshell. So my mom, in a short answer.
Your mom. So I've interviewed a lot of people in fashion, and so many people say that their inspiration was their fashionable mom or their fashionable dad. And so when you talk about, your motto is be confident, was there something
Uh-huh.
particular about, your mom's style as a kid that either
Uh-huh.
you noticed, or was there something that she did that you liked? Can you think back to a time when you were a kid and you were just like,
hmm
either, oh, that's my mom's favorite dress, or
hmm
were you conscious enough to go, my mom is always sharp? Or was it as an adult you reflect back and go, you know what, she was always well put together, she was always sharp, and
hmm
that's.
I would say I noticed this as a young kid. I would say that I noticed that she was always, when I was younger. It was my mother who really did the dressing, dressed us.
Mhm.
Um, and then as I got older, into my teenager years, early teenager, middle teenager years, later teenager years, it was my dad that actually would take us to get our suits. But my mom was always the one that would put in the combinations and the ties and the shirts, and approving of um, the combinations and the things that we would put together to complete the look. Um, I remember my mom, some of the earliest years, maybe sixth grade, seventh grade, where true story, my mom, for ninth grade, my freshman year, uh, going into high school, my mom took me to Daffy Dan's. I don't know if people remember Daffy Dan's, but it was like it's like the hip store in that time when I was adolescent, and I remember she bought me this fedora hat. She bought me this black and white polka dot shirt, a pair of black and white wingtip shoes, and a pair of black pants. And this was the outfit that she got for me on the first day of school. And to this day, people, friends, people, people who who people remember that. They're like, man, I remember when you got on the bus that day, man. Like we'd never seen anything like. My mom had me going to school like dressed like I was, in Hollywood or something like that, and people still remember it to this day. And and my mom, you know, I argued with her. I didn't want to wear it. She
Right.
said, you'll thank me. And actually, I remember getting on the bus and people were like, like it drew like such a strong reaction to either where people liked it so much or you had the haters who, I remember a few guys yelling polka dots, and I was really upset with my mom. I was like, why did she make me wear this? They're laughing at me. And then years later, it was because people were just like blown away. I don't want to say blown away, but they were just
Yeah.
like, you really look nice. And whether it was hate or jealousy or whatever, envy, it drew that reaction because people knew that I really looked nice. And those are some of the things that I remember my mom just coming home, she'd have outfits laid out, sprawled out over my bed. Okay, you wearing this on Monday, Tuesday. And I enjoyed it. It wasn't like, where I was just like hated the outfits that she put. I mean, I had confidence in her fashion sense. So I knew if she put it together that it was probably going to be something that worked. And from there, I just learned and started putting things together on my own, and here I am,
Wow.
with the fashion, fashion custom clothing company.
Wow. So when you finished high school, what were
Mm-hmm.
your thoughts? Was it fashion? Did you?
No, no, the fashion was like a bucket list. I always wanted to start a fashion company.
Mhm.
My training and my educational background have nothing to do with fashion. Um, so it's
So
like,
tell us a little bit about your background and your training.
okay, so I'm actually a psychology major and education major from Morehouse College with the Morehouse in Atlanta. Um, and then I have a master's degree in counseling psychology from Rutgers. And my intention was to go into the educational field, and start consulting firms and educational firms and so forth and so on. Um, but going back to the church, my dad is a bishop, and so we had a church. My dad was pastor of a church, so I was a PK. So that was why we were in church so much, dressing up all the time. You had to be the example.
Hmm.
And so I ended up finishing the master's in psychology, and I actually wanted to pursue ministry, like my dad, and so actually, but I didn't want to be like a full time pastor. I didn't want to like, because my dad was full time, so I wanted to be like somebody who could like sermonize on Sundays, but have a full time other job and be more versatile. And so from there, I went to Princeton Theological Seminary. So I have a Master's of Divinity. I was actually going to do the Doctor of Ministry there and work, do things within ministry. We had a drug and alcohol center, nonprofit drug and alcohol center, which I worked. We did drug court, different things, working with people, trying to help them get themselves back together off of substance. I worked at Jersey City Medical Center as a therapist there, drug and alcohol therapist there, where we worked with co-occurring disorders. So I have a strong background in therapy, family systems, and also assisted my dad for some time in his ministry. So that was where I was at that particular time, and then it just happened. I met a guy, and and it just kind of like shifted and changed the course, I won't say changed the course, but it accelerated, being Nathaniel and the clothing company coming into existence.
Right. So that's an amazing background that you have.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel that all of those experiences and your training, how has that served you in
Well,
business?
got you. Well, I think it's customers. It's really just being able to care for people. Just caring about about how people look. People come to me. Some people come to me frustrated. They can't find clothes that fit them properly. You know, some people come to me with literally their hopes and dreams, you know, founded on this one garment. This guy has the fantasy look for his proposal. He wants to propose to his fiance, and he wants to have a certain look, or his wedding. A guy is getting married, or a lady comes to me and she wants the gown of her dreams. Some Cinderella type, Disney fairy tale, look, and this is very important to people. So I would say being able to listen to people, therapists, psychologists, people in the helping profession, pastors, all those type of people. Um, you have to be good listeners, and a lot of people don't understand what listening is. Um, so I think that my training in those fields help me understand and give me extreme amount of patience. I don't know if you've ever gotten the chance to go on my some of my pages and read some of my reviews. Some of them are, some of them are not good. You can't make everybody happy, but for the most part, like, we have a very, very, very excellent rating. Um, but you can't make people happy if you're not listening to what they're articulating and communicating to you, how they want to look, what they want to feel, and being able to merge all of that, um, and to create the garment or whatever it is, that they're trying to achieve.
Right.
And so I think, one of the characteristics of tailors is that they're very anal. They're very, direct. Like, they don't, a lot of them don't, and it's not a slight to anyone. It's difficult for them to think out of the box. And so for me, because of my background and training, I think I'm able to think out of the box. For example, I had a lady come to me. She was traveling to Brazil, a couple years ago, and the shirts that were ordered for her, there was some traveling soccer team, and the shirts that were ordered for her, I think it was for her daughter, it was just too small. It couldn't fit, and they were devastated. And it's something like that. You think, oh, why is this devastating? But you can't judge. You can't. You just got to listen to people. It's devastating, even though to me, I couldn't understand why it was so devastating, but to her, it was like a big deal for the lady and her daughter. And so she went to all these other tailors, and people were trying to figure out how they could make the sleeves bigger, the shirt bigger, and nobody in the area would do it. And the reason why they wouldn't do it is because the tailors, they don't have the patience, they don't have the to deal with things like that. They want to deal with the more, like, you know cut and dry issues.
Right.
Lengthen, shorten, make smaller, make bigger.
Right.
They don't want to have to think creatively to how to make this. So what happened was, she had two shirts, so we fused the shirts, um and the lady, just she was amazed. And it's just a small thing for me, but being able to listen and to hear, and to be patient, and to say, listen, we'll work through this, we'll get you through this. And so her daughter could participate. It was like some kind of international soccer thing that she
Right.
was invited to, and her jersey was wrong. There was no time to correct it. They had to leave like in 48 hours. And so that's just an example of being able to listen and to hear what the customer's saying, having the patience
Right.
to exercise it. Because all of the tailors that I work with, they're ready to throw customers out of the store. They're just so frustrated, and I
Right.
can just listen, and I can. But I've learned
And be
techniques through.
patient. Yeah.
It's a technique called self differentiation, that therapists and counselors, that you learn and train, where you remove all emotion and emotive feelings from your physical being, and you're just focused on being present and hear what people have to say without coming to judgment or reacting, or feeling some type of way. And so that's one of the things that I think has really helped me, and it's really a customer service tool.
Yeah, that is powerful because each
Hmm.
customer could evoke all sorts of emotions
Oh
out
yeah.
of out of you.
Yes. A-
So
Absolutely.
so who was this guy who came around and changed the trajectory of your
Mm.
of your life. And so how did you actually start this business?
So I was working in Jersey City. We had a contract in Jersey City Medical Center working with co-occurring people with co-occurring disorders, people with mental illness, and also drug addiction. And it's a very, 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 very tough population to work with. And I was really just at the point of burnout. And I hadn't even really worked with them that long, but it's just such a difficult population. God bless anyone dealing with those issues. We pray for those people. But the crazy thing is, my wife told me to stop off and get iPhones this particular day. And I was really tired. We had some crazy stuff happen at the hospital because it was in a hospital. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna go. So at the time, AT&T was the only place selling iPhones because of the SIM card. Verizon didn't have the technology at the time. Might have been 2008, 2009. I can't remember the year. Uh, so I stop in there to get uh, just to inquire about iPhones. And there's this white guy in there having a fit. I mean, he's just throwing a tantrum, and he's holding up the line. And his issue is that he's been overseas, and his phone roamed without him knowing it. So his bill was thousands of dollars because he stayed over a month.
Oh my gosh.
He was like, I didn't even use the phone. And during this time, nobody really understood that you had to turn your data roaming off when you travel. It was all new. Long story short, they wouldn't accommodate him, and the best that they would do was give him like 50% off of the bill, which he still was not happy with because he didn't use it at all. And so he said, I'll never use this. I'll never touch this iPhone again. And I remember it clear as day. And in that time, it was to your advantage to have a phone, but not be locked into a contract.
Right.
Remember that,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So I tapped him on the shoulders. He was leaving, and I said to him, um, I heard you say you're not going to use the iPhone anymore. I said, I'll buy it off of you. And he was like, who are you? And I was like, well, I gave him my card, just that and the third. And long story short, he called me 3 weeks later to come get the phone. He was true to his word. He didn't want to use the phone anymore. So he lived 15, 20 minutes from me. I had $200 in my right pocket and $50 in my left pocket. And I was like, I'm gonna get this phone for 200, and I'm not going over 250. I mean, the phone was worth $500-600 at that time. That was like
Yeah.
unheard of in that time for a
Mhm.
phone. And long story short, I go to his house. He calls me over. I go to his house, and he's showing me all of this stuff that he does. Showing me golf balls signed by Tiger Woods, and paraphernalia, the kind of work he did, and he made plastics for plastic makeup casings, and he had big contracts with Revlon and L'Oreal, the big makeup companies. And I'm just like, and he was just talking so much, and I'm thinking to myself, man, if this dude don't shut up, I just want to buy this phone and go home, right? So he pulls out a suit. He goes, yeah, and I have my clothes made. And he pulls out a suit, and it's the most beautiful suit. It's a beige silk he had made in silk. And remember, I'm in church every Sunday, Wednesday, Friday, revivals, the whole. So we dress, right? So when I see this, I'm like, now that I'm feeling this, my man. Like, I want this. He's like, really? He's like, I know the lady who owns, and I tell him, I say, listen, I've always dreamt of starting a clothing company. And he goes, I know the lady who owns the company. She's a personal friend of mine. She supplies Lord and Taylor, uh, Nordstrom's suits. He goes, I'm traveling overseas in 3 weeks. Why don't you come with me and I'll introduce you to her? I'm
Wow. So
like,
he invited you to go overseas with him.
yes. So is actually invited me to go to Shanghai with him. And I'm like, dude, I don't know you. Who are you? Like, are you like an international arms dealer? Are you like harvest my kidneys when I get over there? Like who does this? You know? So I say to him, give me your card, and my best friend is a detective. So I give him the card. I give my boy the card and I say, look, bro, check this dude out for me. Now I probably get my boy in trouble, you know. So my boy comes back. My boy's like, D, the dude is squeaky clean. He hadn't had a ticket since 1977. Now I should have known it was strange because if you see Buddy, just became and still to this day is one of my best friends. As a matter of fact, we became such good friends. His wife passed away maybe 4 or 5 years after meeting them,
Wow.
and he asked me to eulogize her. That's how close Buddy and I became,
Wow.
and very, very good friends. And so anyway, Buddy. Let me describe Buddy to you. Buddy is this white dude, with old white dude. When I met him, was 62 years old with earrings, like Lawrence, like that dangly earring, like Lawrence Taylor, gold rings on every finger. Democrat, hates racism. I mean, just like fought in Mississippi during segregation and in black schools. Like this is Buddy. Like just a real cool dude, man. And anyway, God knows what's best because if what happened was Buddy handed me the wrong card, but it was inadvertent. It wasn't planned. He gave me his partner's card. His partner's like a saint. His name was Dick.
Oh, so you checked out the
Dick,
wrong person?
yeah, we checked out the wrong guy. Had Buddy had Buddy given me his card, I would have never went.
Wow.
True story. I would have never
So
gone because
Buddy was not
Buddy
a
ran
saint.
yeah, Buddy ran into some problems. None of us are perfect.
Wow. Yeah, you couldn't have
It's just
written
meant to
that
be.
script.
Yeah, it's just meant to be. And so literally like 2 weeks later, I'm literally on a plane with him. And that's how it started. And then I came back. I didn't know how to measure, so I met the lady who owned the company. I met her and she's just like, so how many suits do you want a year? I mean a month. I'm like, a month? I'm like, I don't even have a company. And I promise you, he goes, no, 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 she doesn't have a company. He was like, his dad is a pastor. We want you to help him. And then she says to me, your dad is a pastor? I say, yeah. And I promise you, the lady goes, oh, Sister Act is my favorite movie. And she asked me, do you guys have a choir? And I said, yes. And she starts singing "Oh Happy Day" is her favorite song. I'm telling you, it's an amazing story. And that's how. So I started as a hobby, something like on the side to help. And one of the things that I really started too was to focus on like helping pastors because my dad was a pastor at that time for 20 plus years, and he'd never owned a custom suit.
Wow.
And that kind of irritated me, because people serving and helping like that and can't afford a cut, something,
Right.
something like that. So I was able to introduce that to my dad, which was a very proud thing for me. And then I tried to introduce it to everyone I knew. Some people appreciated it, some people didn't. And my first sale was my brother was with me. I was home. I came back from overseas, and I was depressed because I sent out the notification and let everybody know, hey, you can get a custom suit for X amount of dollars, and nobody responded to me.
Wow.
And I was in bed. It was around maybe 8 o'clock, and one of my best friends called me. Was like, "Hey man, can you be over in Queens before this church service is over?" And I was like, "For what?" He's like, "My uncle needs a suit." And I was like, "Sure." So I jump up out of the bed, run over to Queens, and waiting for the guy. Service is over, and the guy orders 4 suits. He lost a lot of weight, so he wanted a whole new wardrobe. He ordered 4 suits, 5 shirts, a bunch of stuff. And I named the price, and he said, man. And I thought he was trying to tell me it was expensive. I was getting ready to come down on the price. He's like, that's cheap. I was like, yeah, yeah. Well, I wanted to give you a great deal. Hold on. And then he says, who's going to measure me? I got the measuring tape.
Okay. And so you had to be taught how to measure.
Yeah, I learned.
Okay.
I had to learn. I went
Okay.
and got educated. The CTDA, Custom Tailors and Designers of America. They have different workshops and different you know, conferences, and you go and you get certified, and so I went and educated myself,
Right.
and now I have a system I don't miss. Like, if you come, listen, if you come get a suit from me, it's going to be the best fitting suit you ever have.
Wow.
Um, and so it's been through trial and error, that we've been able to get to this
Right.
point, precision. But it wasn't always like that.
Right.
We've made errors, and from time to time still have to fix some things. Nobody's perfect. But my brother in this case asked the guy. He had a nice suit on. He's like, "Hey, you like this suit?" And the guy was like, "Yeah, it's my favorite suit. It's the only one that I have tailored to fit me." And my brother was like, "Well, the best way to do is to copy an original suit," which is true.
Hmm.
A lot of people come to me and they bring me a suit that they just love to fit, and we can copy it. I don't even have to take a measurement. We just copy the
Right.
suit. We measure the suit and copy the suit style, everything. And long story short, the guy went home and a pair. He said, "Well, if I give you my clothes, what am I going to wear home?" And my brother's like, "Well, maybe you got some clothes in the car you can." And it was freezing. This is in January. It's cold. And they go out to the car. The guy finds a pair of frozen up jeans, and the guy goes home in like his little tank top that he had under his and a pair of jeans and his overcoat that he had. And we took the suit and his shirt, and that was how we uh, made his clothes. Now, going back to the name B. Nathaniel.
Hmm.
B. Nathaniel is I got the name from my sons. I have two boys. My oldest son's name is Bryce, and my youngest son's name is Chase Nathaniel. So I parsed the
Wow.
B of Bryce and my second son's middle name, and came up with B. Nathaniel. Now, going back to the name, just so happens that I found out after I named the business that, okay, so when my wife was pregnant with my second son, Chase Nathaniel, her grandfather sent a written note home from Jamaica. My wife is Jamaican. Sent a written note from Jamaica. Her parents were on vacation, and he sent a letter to us asking if we could give our son his name. His name was Nathaniel.
Wow.
And at the time, we had a name. His name was going to be Chase. I didn't want to change that name because I really liked that name. But I said, you know what? Chase Nathaniel has a nice ring. So after I named the company B. Nathaniel, I found out through, like, when you sit down with the historians of the
Hmm.
family, and that he was actually a tailor.
Wow.
His name, they called him Taylor D,
Wow.
which is what everybody calls me, Taylor D.
Wow.
But his name was actually Nathaniel. And he loved tailoring and loved uh, garments and fashion, but he left the profession unfulfilled and upset, which is really what's happening now to a lot of tailors,
Yeah.
is because people are not honoring their work. People, and I face it every day. People come and they want to get pants hem or a jacket cut, and they feel like it's worth a $15 job or
Yeah.
$20 job.
Yeah.
They don't want to honor the profession, because if it was something so easy to do, people would be doing it at home. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would be, you wouldn't need a professional if it was. And so what happens is I get people come in, they're pin up garments, we'll do it, and I'll tell them, look, it's gonna cost you $250 to cut this suit up. And they're like, what? The suit only cost me $50. And I'm like, well, that's not my problem. You know,
Yeah.
this is what's happening, and why and so what happens is you have the older profession of tailors. You don't really find any young 20-year-old,
You
22
really
year old,
don't.
30. No, you don't. All of them are older. And so one of my missions in my company is to preserve this art, because I think in 15 years there's going to be so little tailors, because they're either leaving, they're older, they're retiring, passing away, so forth and so on. But Taylor D left the profession unfulfilled, and it's amazing how I started this company, named it B. Nathaniel after his birth name, and so it's kind of like his legacy uh, is living on, you know,
Absolutely.
through this company. It's really a special, magical, spiritual thing that happened. And like I said, it
Yeah.
was a hobby for
Your
me.
internal, your
Oh,
entire journey has been magical.
yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
And what I think is
Uh,
inspiring also for our audience is how you were able to jump in, because you could have
mm-hmm,
easily been intimidated by the whole process, not knowing how to
yep,
measure folks or not really
yep,
understanding what the business entails. But
Exactly.
sometimes when you just follow how you're led, all of
Mm-hmm.
everything actually works out. And so now you've been in business for how long?
uh 12, 13 years. And it's funny you
Wow.
say how you, because I've actually partnered with people who are in the business, tailors, top tailors who were in the business, top designers, and they didn't, I don't think they appreciated the gift that I bring to the table of
Hmm.
just being, what's the word I'm looking for, just being sensitive to know when to go, when not to go, the direction, just being intuitive, just trusting my
Hmm.
instincts, my God-given instincts, and not just going by a certain blueprint or rubric.
Exactly.
uh, you know what I'm saying? And I've butted heads so many times where people have literally left, so I can't work with you because I'm not going to sit there and listen to a customer for an hour, you know
Wow.
and they're out of business, and I'm still here. And I'm, like I said, I didn't go to school. I didn't have any like super formal training. I mean, I've studied and read myself. I'm an educated person, so I mean, I know how to educate myself. I don't need to sit in a class to
Right.
learn something. But I mean, I have sat in classes, and I take it very seriously, my education in the field, in this business. But yeah, like when how you, just to strengthen and firm up what you said about being led. Yeah, it's just really just instinctual, and being able to just hear and listen to people and know and figure out what it is they
What it
want.
is they want.
For another example, I had a guy who ripped his suit getting into his BMW. He ripped his pocket, and he's running late for this meeting. And he comes into the shop, and he's like, I need this fixed. And my tailor goes, this can't be fixed. And I go, wait, hold on a second, hold on. And this upsets my tailor, because in his mind, you got to throw this jacket away. There's nothing that can be done. And I say, well, first ask the customer, does he want it back as the original, or if he wants it fixed, we got to think of something creative. And the guy goes, I don't care what you do. I don't want it ripped. So now, because you haven't just completely shut the door to the customer by saying it can't be fixed, no, now the customer is open to something creative. Now we can get creative.
Right.
And I'm telling you, I wish I had a picture of what we did, what we ended up doing. And the guy to this day, this was maybe 10 years ago, and the guy to this day still talks about it. I don't know if he still wears the jacket, but he's like, they'd never seen anything like that. And it looked good. It was different,
Wow.
you know. But that comes with patience,
Hmm.
intuition, listening to the customer, being flexible, not just shutting off, any possible ways to fix things or do things.
Absolutely.
And that's you know what I think that I bring to the tailor. Why tailors need me, and I need tailors, because I'm just a design guy. I don't sew. I'm not a sewer. I just design. I can look at colors. I can match. I can coordinate. Put patterns together that shouldn't be together. And do all of that. But I don't sew. So we need each other. But I think that what I bring to the table allows tailors to operate outside the realm of the box, because most tailors operate in this confined box. But that's just a personality trait of a tailor.
Right.
That's personality traits of different professions, doctors and lawyers and pastors, and it's the same is said for, tailors and seamsters. So, like,
Right. So, what is the full spectrum of what you offer?
well, we offer master alterations. For example, like, we get a lot of garments that we deconstruct and put back together
Mm.
like it was coming from the factory. A guy loses 40, 50 pounds, but he doesn't want to part ways with his suit. We can pull the suit apart, fix it again, put it back together. Gowns, wedding gowns. We also do, and we do, just custom everything: jeans, vest, ties, bow tie, whatever it is you want made.
Okay.
If it's dealing with a textile and a cloth, we can
You
do it.
can do it. All right.
Yeah, we can.
What are your goals for the future? Where do you see yourself expanding?
Right now, I really want to get. I mean, if I learned any lesson, see, my thing was, you have all these online stores popping up where people measure, and I fixed so many of those suits. It's not even funny. Like,
Wow.
I'm not gonna name the companies, but people order these on suits online for $299, $400, $500. They're not true. It's not a true custom suit. It's just a suit that was pre-made, that they chop up according to measurements you send. And, but that's fine. That's their business model, and they make a lot of money doing that. Our stuff is truly custom. We create patterns. We even do bespoke, which is another level
Mm-hmm.
of made to measure and custom, which where you'll come in and fit a muslin pattern, and we build it from scratch, from the ground up.
Wow.
We can do custom shoes, everything, gowns. Um, we've even done ties and bow ties and vests, and uh, I've made Muslim garb, everything,
Okay.
robes for preaching outfits for pastors, the full
All
spectrum.
right. And where
Mhm.
is it that you intend to go? What are
Okay,
some of
so
your
that's
bigger goals?
what-
Right.
yeah. So COVID taught me. So I was trying to stay like true to the form of custom, where tailor, you come in to meet a tailor and we put hands on you, we measure you. You don't send us measurements online, and you don't do anything like that. But I realized that while I'm trying to stay true, keep it real, as some people would say, to the process of custom and bespoke clothing, it's not what it's not what the consumer is saying. The consumer is saying we don't have time.
Yeah.
We don't have as much time to come in and get measured. People are running, lives are busy. So
And to your
I'm
point,
for
COVID prevented people from being
COVID.
able to come in.
Exactly.
Right.
So, so I realized COVID taught me that I do need a strong online presence, um, and that's pretty much it. I mean, just to strengthen my online presence and to be able to transact online, because that's just where it's going. People don't want to come in. They don't want to. I had a guy come in tonight, get fitted. Uh, he was on the phone the entire time, like, and it's fine. I mean, I still did my thing, still did what I had to do, but like he's just busy. And if we can eliminate and help people, and if this is what the market is saying,
Right.
if this is what the consumer is saying, then you better
You have
listen.
to listen.
And it's either, what is the saying? You either adapt or become extinct,
Yeah.
so to speak. So um,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Wow. Well,
So that's
so tell
right.
folks how they can find you, how they can connect with you.
Okay.
Um,
So folks can connect with me. I'm online.
mhm.
And
What's your
it's
website?
uh it's www.bnatbespoke. That's BNATBESPOKE.com. BNATbespoke.com. You can schedule an appointment online, and we even do, if you're too busy, whatever, we can even send people out, or I can come out, depends on the schedule, to fit you in a home or office.
Okay.
um, and that's pretty much it. I mean, for for those home or office type visits, I mean, you have to. It's not just, I'm not going for one suit.
Right.
So I'll call you. Will find out. I'm not going for one garment. It's not. I'm not trying to be bougie or anything like that. But like
No,
when I make
but
travel
efficient with your
trips,
time. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. If that's the case, you come to the store, and my staff and myself will make sure you have a wonderful, wonderful time. And then I have my production studio is downstairs. So I have maybe, I don't know, 10 machines downstairs. Pre-COVID, it was just humming.
Hmm.
Machines humming all day, even into late at night. Just depends. But yeah. So that's pretty much it.
Well, we look
Hmm.
for, do you have socials? Can we find you on social?
Yes. Social media. It's be Nathaniel Bespoke
Hmm.
on Instagram and on Facebook as well. I must admit, I have to step up my social media game, but I'm actually in talks with one of your colleagues.
Oh,
Uh,
very good. Very good
yeah, yeah,
to do that.
yeah. We're gonna get that fixed real quick.
All right. Well, we're
Real.
those of us listening, we're going to follow you and support you as you're growing.
Okay. I
And
appreciate that.
yeah, just want to thank you for coming and sharing this amazing story.
Thank
And we
you.
wish you all the best.
Thank you so
Okay. Thank
much.
you, Dee. Take care.
The Business First podcast is hosted and produced by Sonia Aline. Associate producer, Ariel Mancibo. Executive producer, Ken Johnson. Find the Business First podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts, and on social at business_first_podcast on IG. The Business First Podcast is a Mean Old Line Media production.